The Zanetti Train Mystery did not begin with fear or chaos, but with hope. On a clear morning in early 20th century Italy, people gathered at a small railway station, believing they were witnessing the future. Steam rose gently from a newly built locomotive, sunlight reflected off polished metal, and laughter mixed with the sound of wheels settling onto the tracks. No one on that platform knew they were about to step into one of the most haunting mysteries ever told, a story not just about a train that vanished, but about human lives swallowed by the unknown. At exactly 10:47 a.m., the train began to move. Inside were families, workers, officials, dreamers, ordinary people carrying ordinary thoughts. Some worried about work waiting at the next city. Some admired the engineering marvel beneath their feet. Some simply watched the countryside pass by, unaware that every second carried them closer to a moment that would erase them from history. Railways in that era symbolized humanity's triumph over distance. Mountains were no longer barriers, tunnels pierced through them like declarations of dominance. The tunnel ahead of this train was new, celebrated, and meant to stand as proof that human intelligence could bend nature to its will. But history has a cruel habit of humbling human pride. As the locomotive approached the tunnel entrance, witnesses later recall the strange stillness. Birds went silent. The air felt heavy, almost charged. A pale mist began to gather at the mouth of the tunnel, unnatural in its thickness, glowing faintly against the stone. Inside the train, unease spread without explanation. Conversation stopped. A man stood abruptly, gripping his seat, saying something felt wrong. Panic has a way of spreading faster than logic. Two men, driven by instinct rather than reason, leapt from the moving train moments before it entered the tunnel. Their bodies struck the ground violently, bones breaking, lives forever changed, but they survived. Behind them, the train disappeared into the mist. It did not crash, it did not explode, it did not emerge. The tunnel stood empty, silent, intact. The mountain had swallowed more than 100 souls without leaving a single trace. Authorities searched desperately. Workers entered the tunnel with lanterns, shouting names, listening for echoes of pain or metal. There were none, no wreckage, no blood, no sign that a train had ever passed through at all. The laws of reality seemed to have been quietly rewritten. Families waited for news that never came. There were no bodies to bury, no graves to visit, no final moments to mourn. The disappeared existed in a cruel limbo, neither alive nor confirmed dead. Grief without closure is a uniquely human torment, and for the families of the Zanetti train passengers, it lasted a lifetime. The investigation faded, the tunnel was sealed, official records fell silent, but human memory did not. Years later, thousands of miles away, something impossible surfaced. In Mexico during the 1840s, decades before the Italian incident, local authorities encountered several men wandering near a railway construction site. They were disoriented, frightened, and spoke Italian. They claimed to have arrived by train from Italy. The year they gave, 1911, meant nothing to anyone questioning them. A physician named José Saxino examined the men. He noted their clothing, made from materials uncommon for the era. He recorded their descriptions of advanced railway technology, electric lighting, and mechanical systems not yet invented. Most disturbingly, all the men told the same story. They remembered boarding a train. They remembered a tunnel filled with white mist, and then nothing. Society labeled them insane. They were confined, their testimony dismissed. Yet Saxino preserved his notes, unable to shake the feeling that he had encountered people displaced not by geography, but by time itself. Across the decades, similar stories surfaced like whispers across history. Sightings of a phantom train on abandoned tracks, reports of people appearing suddenly near railways, dressed for another era, asking for cities that should not exist. Each account alone could be dismissed. Together, they formed a pattern too human to ignore. Skeptics argue the Zanetti train never existed. There are no official records, they say, no passenger manifests, no corporate documents. They call it a myth, an invention, a story grown too large to contain. But myths do not usually leave behind grieving families, scattered testimonies, and documented accounts that appear where they should not. What makes the Zanetti train mystery endure is not the question of how the train vanished, but what it represents. It is a mirror held up to humanity's deepest fears, that progress may come with unseen costs, that the universe doesn't owe us explanations, and that ordinary lives can be erased without warning. The two survivors lived long lives haunted by what they saw. They insisted until their dying days that the passengers were not dead, only lost somewhere beyond time, beyond reach. Their words were often dismissed as trauma, but trauma doesn't invent shared memories. The sealed tunnel remains a place of unease. Locals speak of fog that gathers without cause, of faint metallic sounds echoing through stone, of a whistle that seems to belong to no train running today. Whether these are tricks of imagination or echoes of something unfinished, no one can say. Human history is filled with unanswered questions. Ships vanish at sea, civilizations disappear, names fade from records. But the Zanetti train mystery feels different because it happened in an age of documentation, an era that promised certainty. It reminds us that no matter how advanced we become, there are forces we do not understand, and doors we may open without knowing what lies on the other side. Perhaps the Zanetti train slipped into another time. Perhaps it entered a reality parallel to our own. Or perhaps the truth is simpler and more terrifying, that the universe occasionally reclaims what humanity believes it controls. What remains undeniable is the humanity of the story. Over 100 lives, each with dreams, fears, and unfinished journeys, vanished together. They were not legends, they were people. And somewhere, in a place beyond our calendars and clocks, the Zanetti train may still be moving, its passengers forever traveling, never arriving, carrying with them the unanswered questions of a world they left behind.